Okay, now that we've finished creating our own custom app here in Podio, let's go ahead and let's take a look and see what it looks like when we go ahead and add a new item. So you can see I'm here in my sales workspace and I'm in the projects app that we just created. As we can see down here, we don't have any data inside of this app yet. So let's go ahead and let's add a new data item by going over here to the right side and clicking Add Project. You'll notice that we now see all of the fields that we added when we created this app in the app builder. So I can go ahead and I can give this project a title. I'll just call this test project. We can see who the contact is. Now remember, we enabled meetings for this app. So you'll see that we can go ahead and add people and they will get an invite. And it's telling us that if you invite somebody outside of this workspace, they're going to have access to this item. So be aware of that if you're going to invite outside members. We can choose our project status. Remember, we used the category field for this. So you'll notice I only have the option of choosing one. So we could say this project is in the research phase. We can specify our due date. So I can say that this is due Tuesday, July 16th. Now remember, because we enabled the meeting settings and we connected this due date field to our meeting aspect of this app, it's actually going to create a meeting for us on July 16th. So like I said, if you were going to go ahead and enable this app for meetings, you might want to add a specific field for the meeting date so that it isn't the same as the due date. In this case, maybe we do want a meeting on the due date. Maybe that's the wrap-up meeting. So that's there for us to use. Down here we have the field for a link, so we could go ahead and add a web address here. So I could go ahead and I'm just going to add podio.com. Just so you see what happens. Now you see I enter the address and then I can go ahead and hit this attach field. It's going to go to podio.com, see what it looks like, and it's going to insert this little image snippet and a description of the website. So that's pretty cool. We could go ahead and add an image down here. So if we had a PDF or a JPEG that had an overview of the project or maybe a logo for the project, we could add that in here. We could enter our Google Maps address so that it would show up on a map for everybody who's going to the meeting or just participating in the project. Now we played with the question field as well when we created this app. So although this is asking the same question as our category field up here handled, I just wanted to show you what it looked like so you could see the difference. So now if you didn't want to use the category option of doing this, you could use the question option, which we've got here. So we could say that this project is in research phase. We can enter our cost. Now this is going to be important because we had a calculation. So I'm going to say that this project costs $1,000. Because remember, we projected how much this project is going to cost per hour based on the total cost and the amount of hours that we projected needing to complete this project. So you'll see that the next field was our hours question. So how long will this project take? Let's say it's going to take us 10 hours. I'm making the numbers easy so that we can verify that the calculation is done correctly. So it should tell us that this project is going to cost $100 an hour once we go ahead and save this entry here. So as we scroll down, we get to choose our completion percentage. And I explained this field before. Now we can actually see what it looks like. So you can notice I can choose that, let's say we're in the research phase. This project is only 20% complete. As we move along with this project, we can go back in, edit this app item, and we can move this slider along. Now we also have the option of adding our client. Now remember, I used the field that allows you to connect to other apps within Podio when we created our app here. So this client field is actually going to go to our client app. I believe I connected it to the demo workspace because we actually had some data within our client app there. But you'll see this list pops down, and I could go ahead and I could search as well. I could type, so I could actually choose the client that this project is associated with. So I'm just going to choose the Acme Lawn Services so that we can see how this looks once we save this item. Again, we allowed the adding of files, so we could add a file to this. And if you wanted to make use of the tags feature here in Podio, you could enter some tags. So once you're ready, we're going to go ahead and we're going to save this app. Okay, so now we've saved it, and it takes us to the view of this particular item, but we're not going to be able to edit anything. We're not, in the add item field. We're not in the edit app field. We're actually just viewing this project's record. So we can see the title. You'll notice I'm automatically following it because I'm the owner, Anson Alexander. And I could go, you can see here's my contact profile. It says if I'm attending the meeting or not. Yes, no, or maybe. By default, it's yes. Here's our project status, our due date. we've got all of this information, and now if you look down here, this is the part that I was really looking for, was this calculation. We were right. It says $100 cost per hour. That's based on our calculation of 1,000 divided by 10. So you can see how powerful that calculation field could be. We could then go in and we could say, oh, wow, we now know that this project is going to cost us 15 hours. It's going to take 15 hours to complete. So we could go in and modify that, and our calculation would change based on that. And you'll also notice that we are now connected to the Acme Lawn Services. So I could click on this record right here, and you'll see it pulls up some information about this company from a different app. So it's pulling that information from our demo workspace, our client app in our demo workspace. So this is how Podio is all connected. You can connect all of your apps together so it's easy to access information. So then I could go over here to the Actions menu, and I could say, I want to go directly and I want to view this lead. I'm not going to right now. I want to view this particular app item in the default view when we're looking at all the items within an app. But before I do that, I want to scroll up here just to show you at the top, we have all of these options up here. So you can see I could create a task, and we're going to get into tasks in detail a little bit later on in this video series. But if I create a task from here, it's going to associate it with this project. So that's pretty useful. I could like this project. Remember, we enabled that like option when we created our app here. I could share it. I could clone it. So I could create a new project, but I could basically make it a clone of this project. If it's a very similar project and I don't want to have to re-enter all of this information, I could just make a clone of it, and then I could maybe edit the few things that are different. And then, of course, we could print this particular item. And then up here at the top right, we could go in and edit the item or delete it. So this is the view of our item after we've created it. You can see on the right side, we also have all of these options we added in the advanced options. What do you think? You can give it a thumbs up, a thumbs down. You can choose yes or no. I just enabled all of these, the 5-star voting, so that we could see what they look like. So I could give it 4 stars. And then you'll see that over here, as other people fill out the voting, it'll tell you what the average rating is for this app. So that's really cool, especially if you have a big organization and you want input from all of your members. So this is what it looks like from this view. Now I'm going to go back and I'm just going to click on my projects app because, again, I want to show you what this looks like in this screen. So remember, we chose list view as our default view. So here's our project. We have all of our information, just like we looked at earlier when we looked at the clients app here in Podio. So if we had multiple projects, we could look at them all at once. Maybe we could look at all of our projects and we could sort by the cost per hour to see which one is most economically feasible for our organization. And again, you've got all your filtering, sorting options up here at the top. I could switch our layout to take a look at what the badge view of this is. Like I said, for projects, the badge view kind of looks pretty cool because you can see I have my name, my due date, who the owner is, what status it's in, and then the completion percentage. So if you've got 20 projects, you might want to view them in this badge view because it'll give you a really good overview of which projects are close to being finished, which ones are just in the research phase, and it just really helps you see the big picture of everything going on. So that's how you can create custom apps here in Podio. Stay tuned for the next section of this video series where we're just going to go over a few additional details about modifying apps. So we've used previously built apps here in Podio from the Podio app marketplace. We've created our own custom app. Now let's go ahead and we're going to talk about a few other modifications we can do to apps that are outside of the app builder. So stay tuned for that part of the video series.